In the summer of 1942, Nazi Germany's advance into the Soviet Union seemed unstoppable. Having launched Operation Barbarossa the previous year, German forces now drove toward the Volga River and the Caucasus oil fields. Their target, the industrial city of Stalingrad, named after the Soviet leader Joseph Stalin. What began as a strategic operation would become the bloodiest battle in human history and the turning point of World War II. The Battle of Stalingrad spanned from July 17, 1942 to February 2, 1943. It pitted the German Sixth Army, led by General Friedrich Paulus, against Soviet defenders determined to hold the city at any cost. Operation Blau originally aimed to capture the Caucasus oil fields. But in July, Adolf Hitler made a critical decision. He divided Army Group South, diverting the powerful Sixth Army towards Stalingrad for both strategic and symbolic reasons. Capturing the city named after Stalin would deliver a devastating psychological blow. By late August, German forces reached the Volga. On August 23rd, the Luftwaffe launched massive airstrikes, dropping thousands of tons of bombs. In days, much of Stalingrad lay in ruins and thousands of civilians perished. Stalin issued Order No. 227, not one step back. Retreat meant death. General Vasily Chukov assumed command of the 62nd Army, declaring he would defend the city street by street. The rubble-strewn urban battlefield favored the defenders, transforming the fight into brutal close-quarters combat the Germans called Rattenkrieg, the War of the Rats. Iconic strongpoints emerged. Pavlov's house, an ordinary apartment block held by Sergeant Yakov Pavlov and a handful of men for 58 days, became a symbol of Soviet tenacity. Grain elevators, factories, and railway stations changed hands repeatedly in ferocious assaults. Soviet snipers added terror to the chaos. Vasily Zaitsev, credited with over 200 confirmed kills, became a legend whose exploits boosted morale across the front. By early November, German troops controlled 90% of the city, compressing Soviet forces into narrow strips along the Volga's west bank. Victory seemed within reach. Yet Hitler's fixation on total conquest blinded him to the vulnerability of his extended flanks, guarded by weaker Romanian, Hungarian, and Italian armies. Soviet commanders Georgy Zhukov and Alexander Vasilevsky secretly prepared counterstroke. Over 1 million fresh troops, tanks, and guns assembled north and south of the city. On November 19, 1942, Operation Uranus commenced. Soviet armies smashed through the overextended Axis flanks, linking up west of Stalingrad on November 23rd and encircling the entire German Sixth Army, nearly 300,000 men, inside a vast pocket. Hitler forbade vidruel. He ordered Paulus to stand firm, promising massive air resupply. Hermann Göring boasted the Luftwaffe could deliver 500 tons per day. In reality, winter weather and Soviet defenses limited deliveries to a fraction of that amount. In December, Field Marshal Erich von Manstein launched Operation Winter Tempest to relieve the pocket. His forces advanced to within 30 miles but could break no further. Hitler refused to authorize a simultaneous breakout from inside the pocket, sealing the Sixth Army's fate. As winter deepened, starvation, typhus, and frostbite decimated the trapped troops. By January 1943, the pocket had shrunk dramatically. On January 30th, Hitler promoted Paulus to Field Marshal, an implicit message that no German officer of that rank had ever surrendered. 2 days later, on February 2nd, 1943, Paulus capitulated. The battle was over. Of the 91,000 Germans taken prisoner, fewer than 6,000 would ever return home. Total Axis losses exceeded 800,000 killed, wounded, or captured. Soviet casualties surpassed 1 million soldiers, with tens of thousands of civilians dead. Stalingrad shattered the myth of German invincibility. An entire field army had been destroyed. The strategic initiative passed irrevocably to the Red Army, which would advance westward without pause until reaching Berlin in 1945. Hitler's refusal to allow timely withdrawal combined with Stalin's willingness to sacrifice hundreds of thousands to hold the city, decided the outcome. The ruins of Stalingrad marked not only unimaginable human suffering, but the beginning of Nazi Germany's defeat. From the ashes of a devastated city rose the turning point of the 20th century's deadliest conflict.